All right, folks, welcome back. Ready to dive deep into Matchday 16 of the Premier League.
Yeah, buckle up. It was a wild one. Lots to unpack.
Definitely a weekend full of surprises, that's for sure. Big wins, crushing defeats, some twists and turns that might just give us a hint of where this season is heading.
Yeah, the title race is heating up, isn't it?
You said it. And thanks for bringing those fantastic match reports to the table. Chelsea's victory over Brentford, Palace's surprise win against Brighton on their home turf, Tottenham's goal fest, and of course the always electrifying Manchester derby. A lot going on.
Absolutely. And I know you wanted a closer look at those 4 games specifically, so should we just jump right in?
Let's do it. Starting with Chelsea, a 2-1 win against Brentford. That's 5 wins in a row for them. They're only 2 points behind Liverpool now.
Makes you wonder if they finally hit their stride.
Yeah, and this steady climb up the table all season, they're definitely playing with a purpose now. Their manager, Enzo Maresca, seems to have found a system that's working. I was reading his post-match comment.
Oh, yeah.
He seemed happy with the win, obviously, but also, almost a little critical. Like they could have scored more.
Interesting.
I was wondering, do you think that's a warning sign? I mean, could that lack of ruthlessness in front of goal come back to haunt them later in the season, especially if the title race gets even tighter?
It's a good point. When you look at the stats, they dominated possession, more shots on target, controlled the tempo of the match. But yeah, they did miss some clear chances.
Right.
And in a tight race, every goal counts.
Absolutely.
Ah,
Especially against a team like Brentford, who've been struggling away from home.
you're telling me. Brentford have only picked up a single point from 8 away matches this season. They're a completely different team on the road.
It makes you wonder, did Chelsea maybe subconsciously ease up a bit, knowing Brentford's away record?
It's possible. But in the end, a win's a win.
Right.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that. Another step closer to challenging Liverpool. But before we move on, we got to talk about Cucurella. What a wild ride for him in this one.
Oh, yeah. Talk about a memorable match for him, that's for sure.
First, he scores his first ever Premier League goal for Chelsea.
That's got to feel good.
Then, gets a second yellow after the final whistle.
Wait, what happened?
Celebrating with the fans, I guess. Got a little too carried away. Talk about a roller coaster of emotions.
Well, I guess the lesson is celebrate, but keep your cool after the match, right?
Definitely. All right, let's move on to Crystal Palace, their 3-1 win over Brighton. This one was a bit of a shocker, wasn't it? Ending Brighton's undefeated home streak like that.
No kidding. Quite a statement for Palace. They were so clinical in front of goal and just shut down Brighton's usually potent attack.
Sarr, especially. He was on fire. 2 goals. And they were both beauties. That header for the first goal, perfect placement. And then that breakaway, so cool and composed for the second. He was in the zone, that's for sure.
He was. You got to give credit to their manager, Oliver Glasner, though. He set them up so well. Solid defensively, and then just bam, lethal on the counter.
Yeah, but how about Dean Henderson? Brighton had their chances, especially in the second half. They came out swinging. But Henderson, he was like a brick wall back there.
He was incredible, made some crucial saves, controlled his area, kept Brighton at bay. If I were a Palace fan, I'd be ecstatic with his performance.
It's amazing, right? And it makes you wonder what's going on with Brighton. Started the season strong under Herzler, but they seem to have lost a bit of that spark lately. Is this just a temporary dip, or is there something more to it?
Well, they're definitely not playing as fluidly as they were earlier in the season. And, one thing I noticed, they tend to concede goals in quick succession. Like we saw it in this match. It's happened a few times.
So not just a one-off thing.
Makes you think there might be some deeper issues with concentration, maybe organization at the back.
Interesting. Definitely something to keep an eye on as the season progresses. Now, switching gears to Tottenham. 5-0 win against Southampton. Spurs fans must be feeling pretty good after a few shaky performances lately.
Back to their attacking best, for sure. They were relentless right from the start, and Southampton just couldn't handle it.
And they made history in that first half, didn't they? 5 goals. The most they've ever scored in a Premier League first half. What a display.
Yeah, it was just incredible attacking football. And Maddison scoring inside the first minute. I mean, talk about setting the tone.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then Son scoring in his 100th Premier League match.
Yeah.
What a milestone. It wasn't just the sheer number of goals, it was the way they were scoring. The quick passing, finding spaces, finishing clinically, it's a performance that'll boost their confidence big time.
Yeah, you can almost feel that weight lifted off their shoulders, right? It's like a reminder to everyone, even themselves, of what they're capable of.
Absolutely. But on the other side of things, what a rough night for Southampton.
Yeah, tough one.
5 goals conceded, echoes of some of their heavy defeats earlier in the season. You have to feel for the fans, especially those who started leaving early. Not easy to watch your team get dismantled like that.
Especially when it seems to be happening more than once. Southampton have been vulnerable to these big losses this season. You can understand why some fans might struggle to stay optimistic.
And the repercussions of this match didn't end with the final whistle, did they?
Nope. News came out after the match. Russell Martin, gone.
Wow.
Sacked.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. Highlights the pressure these managers are under, especially in a relegation battle.
Absolutely. Every decision, every result, scrutinized.
All right, now for the main event. The Manchester Derby. Man Utd pulling off a stunning 2-1 comeback win over Man City. What a finish to that match.
The tension was palpable in those final minutes. And then, boom, Fernandes scores from the penalty spot in the 88th minute. The crowd goes wild, but wait, there's more.
Yeah, right. Stoppage time, deep into it. Ahmad, the same player who won the penalty, scores the winning goal. Talk about a storybook moment for him. And a gut punch for City.
Ahmad, the hero of the day, no doubt about it. That impact in those final minutes, unbelievable.
The composure to win that penalty. The awareness and movement on the winning goal. Top class.
Absolutely top class.
It's got to be an incredible feeling for him. And for Man Utd, under their new manager, Ruben Amorim. What a statement win. Especially after going down a goal early and losing Mason Mount to injury in the first half.
Definitely a statement. They're starting to believe in themselves again. You can see it. Amorim has made some bold decisions, not just dealing with Mount's injury, but leaving Rashford and Garnacho out of the squad entirely.
So even without some key players, they found a way to win. And a comeback win at that. I think we're seeing something special brewing at Old Trafford. Here's a stat for you. In both Manchester derbies this year, the team that was losing at halftime ended up winning. How crazy is that?
Crazy. I mean, it shows you just how unpredictable this rivalry is.
Yeah.
Anything can happen in a Manchester derby.
That's why we love it, right? We'll come back to Man Utd in a bit. But I think we need to talk about what's going on with Man City. It wasn't just about those late goals, was it? They've been looking a bit off their game for a while now.
You're right. And while those late goals were dramatic, I think the issues run deeper.
Yeah, where do you think it starts?
Well, losing Rodri for the season, that was a massive blow. He was their anchor in midfield. And on top of that, injuries in defense. Guardiola has had to experiment with different lineups, and it's not always worked out.
And you're talking about that decision to play Nunez at left back, a position he's not really used to.
Exactly. Tough situation for him. That back pass leading to the penalty, a real turning point in the match.
No doubt.
It just shows you the kind of challenges Guardiola has faced this season, adapting to injuries, trying different lineups, searching for solutions. But look, this loss to Man Utd will be a learning experience for them. I wouldn't count City out just yet. They've got a lot of talent and a manager who knows how to win.
All right, so we've covered a lot already. Chelsea's climb, Palace's big win, Tottenham's offensive explosion, and that dramatic Manchester derby. But before we go any further, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Premier League Deep Dive.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it. It's amazing how quickly things can change, isn't it? One week, a team looks unbeatable. The next, they're struggling.
That's the beauty of the Premier League, right? Always keeps you guessing. Speaking of Chelsea and their climbs, something else struck me. Their point accumulation since May. More than any other team in the league.
So it's not just a fluke, this recent run. It's been building for a while now.
Exactly. They're 15 points better off than they were at this stage last season. Maresca, he's really instilled a winning mentality there.
You can definitely see it in their play. Attractive, attacking football, but with discipline. It's not just all-out attack. There's control.
Makes you wonder, do you think they can actually catch Liverpool? I mean, Liverpool does have that game in hand.
It'll be tight, that's for sure. Liverpool's still the team to beat. The experience, the history of winning titles, it's all there. But Chelsea's breathing down their necks, that's for sure.
Right, so we're keeping an eye on that title race. But let's talk about another team exceeding expectations. Crystal Palace. I mean, beating Brighton at the Amex, that's a big deal. What impressed you most about their performance?
The tactical discipline. They knew how to neutralize Brighton. Brighton loves to build from the back, play through the midfield, but Palace forced them out wide, disrupted their rhythm, and then bam, hit them hard on the counter.
And Sarr was the perfect weapon for that counterattacking style, wasn't he? So fast, direct. But even when Brighton did create chances, especially in that second half when they were pushing, Dean Henderson was a wall.
Absolutely. Some of those saves, unbelievable. Composure under pressure, really earned that clean sheet.
Fantastic performance from Palace all around. But on the flip side, Brighton, are they starting to falter? Could they be in danger of dropping out of the top half of the table?
I wouldn't panic just yet. They're still a very talented team. And Herzler, he's a good manager, proven he can get the best out of his players. But yeah, this loss does expose some weaknesses.
Like what? What do you see?
Well, we saw it against Palace. They struggle against teams that are defensively organized, teams that can exploit that high line on the counter. And that thing about conceding goals in quick succession, we saw it again in this match. It's happened before. Herzler needs to find a solution for that if they want to stay near the top.
Tactical adjustments might be in order. All right, let's shift gears. The other end of the table, the relegation battle. Southampton, that 5-0 loss to Tottenham, their 4th match, conceding 5 or more goals this season. That's a worrying trend, isn't it?
It is. It's more than just the results, though. There's a lack of belief there, a fragility when they concede early. It's like they just deflate.
And it led to some drastic action. Russell Martin out.
A tough business, managing a team in a relegation fight.
The pressure's immense. Always under the microscope.
Tiny margin for error. Southampton, back to the drawing board now. Need a new manager, and quickly. Someone who can inject some confidence, solidify that defense.
And the January transfer window's coming up. Think they'll be busy, trying to bring in some reinforcements.
They have to be. There's talent in the squad, but they need depth, especially at the back. If they don't make some smart signings, I think they're in big trouble.
Thinking back to that Tottenham match.
Yeah.
Brutal. Especially that first half. 4 goals down after just over 24 minutes. Just demoralizing.
Yeah, the earliest they've ever been 4 goals down in a Premier League match. You could see it in their faces. They were shell-shocked.
Yeah.
That early goal from Maddison, just 36 seconds in, worst possible start for Southampton, dream start for Tottenham.
You could just feel the momentum swing right away. Tottenham playing with confidence, moving the ball quickly, creating chances. Southampton just chasing shadows.
It shows how quickly things can unravel in football. 1 minute you're in it, the next you're on the ropes.
Speaking of being in it, Tottenham. This win has to feel massive for them. They've had a rough patch lately. But this performance, it shows they're still a force to be reckoned with.
Statement win, absolutely. They can blow teams away with that attack. And this will silence some of those doubters who were questioning their title credentials.
Maddison was dictating play in midfield. Son back to his clinical best. They're a threat to anyone. But the question is, can they find consistency? We've seen them drop points against teams they should beat.
That's the key, right? Can they maintain that focus, that intensity every week? Because the Premier League, it punishes any lapse in concentration.
So the title race is wide open. But we've also got a battle at the other end of the table, the fight to avoid the drop. Southampton, after that heavy defeat, the manager sacking, they're in a tough spot.
No doubt. And it's not just about the results, it's the manner of those defeats. 5 goals that points to deeper problems. Lack of organization, maybe a lack of belief, turning things around. It's a mountain to climb.
And speaking of challenges, Brighton. Started so brightly, but they've hit a bit of a wall. That loss to Palace, it exposed some vulnerabilities.
It did. Susceptible to counterattacks, that tendency to concede goals in bunches. It's a worry. But I wouldn't write them off just yet. They have talent, a good manager in Herzler.
And we can't forget Man City. Still one of the favorites for the title. But they haven't looked themselves lately. That loss to United, it raises some questions.
It does. Losing Rodri, massive blow. And the injuries in defense. But Guardiola, he's a tactical genius. He'll be looking for solutions, adapting his system, getting the best out of his players.
So we've talked about Chelsea's rise, Palace's tactical masterclass, Tottenham's firepower, and the drama of the Manchester derby. But now I want to focus on some of the individual performances that really stood out this weekend.
Well, you can't ignore Ahmad, can you? That impact in the Manchester derby, coming off the bench, winning the penalty, scoring the winning goal in stoppage time. Special.
A coming-of-age performance, for sure. Composure, skill, instinct for goal. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of him in the future.
Agreed. He's got something special.
But it wasn't just Ahmad. Dean Henderson for Crystal Palace, outstanding. A wall-in goal.
Absolutely. The shot stopping, the positioning, the way he commanded his area. A huge reason why Palace pulled off that upset.
And James Maddison for Tottenham. Pulling the strings in midfield, that brilliant goal in the first minute, creating chances for his teammates. He was everywhere.
He was in top form. That vision, the passing range, controlling the tempo of the game. A joy to watch.
And it's not just the attackers. Cheik Doucouré for Crystal Palace, fantastic in midfield. Protecting the defense, breaking up attacks.
He was immense. Those interceptions, tackles, and his distribution, excellent. Doesn't always get the headlines, but he's vital for Palace.
So as we look ahead to the next round of matches, What are the key storylines you'll be following? What are the big questions?
Well, can Chelsea keep pace with Liverpool? That's the big one for me. They have a tough match against Leicester, always a tricky opponent.
And what about Brighton? Can they bounce back from that defeat, rediscover their winning form?
Another interesting storyline. They have a good chance to get back on track against Burnley, who are struggling, but they need to avoid those defensive errors.
And Manchester United, can they build on that win over City and start climbing the table?
We'll see. They have a lot of ground to make up, but they are showing signs of improvement under Emery. That match against Newcastle will be a real test.
And Tottenham. Two huge games coming up. Manchester United in the EFL Cup, then Liverpool in the league. Can they maintain this momentum? Can they prove they're genuine contenders?
Those matches will be very telling. If they can get results against those two teams, it'll send a message.
A lot to look forward to. The Premier League never disappoints.
Never a dull moment. It's the best league in the world for a reason.
Okay, so we've covered Chelsea's rise, Palace's tactical brilliance, Tottenham's attack, and that incredible Manchester derby. But now, let's take a step back. I want to talk about a broader trend we've seen this season, the tactical sophistication of the Premier League. What do you think is driving this?
Well, a few things, I think. The influx of world-class managers has raised the bar. Guardiola, Klopp, Conte, Tuchel. They've brought their own tactical philosophies, forced other managers to adapt and evolve.
So it's like an arms race, but with tactics instead of weapons.
Exactly. And then you have the data and analytics more available than ever. Managers can really analyze opponents, find weaknesses, develop detailed game plans.
It's amazing how technology is impacting the game.
It really is. And it's making the Premier League even more exciting, in my opinion. The tactical battles are just as intriguing as the action on the pitch.
And it's not just the managers, right? The players themselves are becoming more tactically aware.
They have to keep up with the demands of the modern game. The modern player needs versatility, intelligence, adaptability. They need to read the game, make decisions quickly, execute their roles.
So it's not just about physical attributes anymore. It's about football IQ.
Precisely. And that's what makes the Premier League so compelling. It's physical, it's skillful, and it's tactically intricate.
Well said. Now, before we move on, a thought-provoking question for you. We've focused a lot on the tactical side of things, but what about the human element? How do you think the mental side of the game, things like confidence, resilience, leadership, are impacting the Premier League this season?
Great question. It's something we don't always talk about. We focus on tactics, formations, but at the end of the day, it's the players who go out there and perform. And their mental state, it has a huge impact.
So it's not just about having the right game plan. It's about having the right mindset.
Absolutely. We've seen it this season. Teams that can stay confident, believe in themselves, even when things are tough, those teams tend to be more successful.
Resilience is key.
It is. And leadership. Teams with strong leaders, players who inspire their teammates, they have an edge.
So it's a combination of factors: tactics, talent, temperament.
Exactly. And that's what makes the Premier League so captivating. A game of inches, where the smallest details can be the difference between winning and losing.
It's amazing, isn't it? We talk about all the tactics, formations, but sometimes it's those individual moments of brilliance, those unexpected twists that you really remember.
Totally. Like Ahmad. Just that image of him celebrating after the winning goal, that feeling at Old Trafford, you could sense it.
Yeah, totally. The Premier League, that's what I love about it. It's like a tactical chess match, but it's also a drama, you know?
Yeah.
A soap opera with heroes and villains. Always something new happening.
And this weekend, Matchday 16, it gave us everything, didn't it? We had underdog wins, Palace shutting down Brighton, comebacks, rivalries coming back to life, even a manager losing his job. It's like each match is a tiny version of the whole season's drama.
A tiny version. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So let's zoom back out then. Look at the bigger picture. What are some of the bigger questions this weekend brought up?
All right, let's do it. Where do you want to start?
Chelsea. They're on this amazing run, but can they actually challenge Liverpool for the title? I mean, Liverpool's got that experience, and they have a game in hand, remember?
That's the big question, isn't it? Chelsea has momentum, they're disciplined tactically, and they're getting the points. But winning the title, that's different. They need that killer instinct, the ability to close out games, even when they're not at their best.
And that's where the mental game comes in, right? The confidence, the belief, handling the pressure.
Exactly. And it's not just the players. The manager sets the tone. Enzo Maresca, he seems to be doing that at Chelsea. The players believe they're playing with a certain swagger.
But can they keep that swagger against a team like Liverpool, a team that's been there, won it all?
That's the challenge. And it's not just about Chelsea either. We have other teams in the mix. Tottenham, for example, they showed us something this weekend. They have the quality to compete with the best. That 5-0 win against Southampton, they were making a statement.
Yeah, Madison controlling things in midfield, Son scoring goals again. They're danger to anyone, but they need to be consistent. We've seen them drop points against teams they shouldn't.
That's it. Can they stay focused, keep that same intensity week after week? Because this league, the Premier League, it punishes you for any slip-up.
So yeah, the title race is wide open, but we've also got to fight at the bottom, those teams battling to stay up. Southampton, after that loss and their manager being sacked, it's a tough spot for them.
Yeah, tough one. And it's not just about the losses, it's how they're losing. 5 goals, that tells you there are deeper issues. Maybe a lack of organization, a lack of belief. It's going to be hard to turn things around.
Challenges everywhere you look. Brighton, such a strong start to the season, but they've hit a rough patch. Losing to Crystal Palace like that, it showed some weaknesses.
It did. They can be vulnerable to counterattacks, and they have this habit of conceding goals in quick succession. That's a concern. But I wouldn't count them out yet. They've got a good squad, a good manager in Hurzeler.
And then there's Man City. They're still favorites for the title, but they haven't been themselves lately. That loss to Man Utd, it makes you wonder.
Yeah, it does. Losing Rodri was a big blow. And then the defensive injuries. But Guardiola, he's a master tactician. He'll be figuring things out, adapting the system, getting the best out of his players.
So wrapping up this deep dive into Matchday 16, what's your main takeaway?
It's a marathon, not a sprint. This league, it's a marathon. We've seen teams rise and fall, momentum shifts, the narrative changes all the time, and we're not even halfway through the season yet.
That's right. So much football left to play, and I'm excited to see what happens next.
Me too.
Okay, everyone, that's it for our deep dive into Matchday 16 of the Premier League. We hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to keep digging into those match reports, checking out the stats. Maybe you'll find something interesting we missed. Until next time, keep that passion for the beautiful game alive.